Hey Adventurers, so today is going to be a book tag. This is the book acquiring tag. I was kind of sort of mostly tagged by Liam from Liam's Lyceum several months back now whenever he did this tag. So we'll get right into the questions here. Question 1. Do you plan your book purchase ahead or impulse buy? That totally depends, and it tends to lean a lot more heavily towards impulse buy. What I'll often do is I'll have several books that I'm looking for, and if I go into a bookstore and I find them, perfect. If not, that's fine. I'll get whatever I find that I find interesting. But so it's usually I'll have some books that I'm looking for, but I'm also not so just I'm going to buy this book. There's no other book that I'm going to buy, and if I can't find this book, I'm not going to buy books. I go into the bookstores looking and thinking, well, is there anything in here that I want to buy? And so I'll usually do that. If I'm buying from an online retailer, Amazon, Book Depository, something like that, if I'm buying from them, then I will buy the specific book that I'm looking for. But I don't tend to do that as much. I tend not buy new books as often just because they're more expensive usually than used books. Question 2 is how do you decide what books to buy? And that's very similar to question 1, where it's whatever catches my fancy at the moment. Most of the time I buy fantasy, sometimes sci-fi if it's a sci-fi that I have heard about and that I think I want to read, I'll like or something like that. So it's fantasy, sometimes sci-fi, westerns, specifically Louis L'Amour. A lot of times I'll buy Louis L'Amour westerns. And then mythology. So if I find like a collection of myths or something like that, I'll oftentimes buy that. I also look for Arthurian tales a lot of the time because I love Arthurian retellings and Arthurian just stories. That whole world of King Arthur is one of my favorites. So that's kind of what I tend to look for. But how I decide to buy something is usually if I see it and I want it, I buy it. Question 3 is what is your philosophy on where you shop? Online versus in-person, large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new versus used, etc. My philosophy is if I find it and I see it and I want it, I buy it type thing. There's a lot of audiobooks that I will buy instead just because it's very easy for me to do audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and if I know it's a great narrator or I don't think that I will be able to get to the book physically anytime soon, I'll often buy it on audiobook. Personally, I love hardback editions, but usually I don't buy hardback editions for books that I have no idea if I'm going to read unless it's at a used bookstore where it's significantly cheaper. Then I'm not so worried about buying them. And of course, I usually do used books because they're just cheaper, and I don't have the money to spend buying new books all the time as much as I'd like to. What about little free libraries? What do you think about them? Have you used one? Why or why not? I have no problem with these. I have never used one. I have seen 2 in my entire life, I believe, and one of those is in our town, and it's the first time I'd ever seen it or knew that it was there, and I haven't used it. Probably won't, but I have no problem with them. I kind of find it hard to just take a book and leave it somewhere. I understand that you take some books and you put other books in, and you don't have to give books, but I understand how they work and everything, and I have no problem with that. But for me, it's kind of just hard to do that. I think I would probably enjoy at least going and looking at them, but it's kind of difficult for me to do, and it doesn't really bother me either way. So I'm kind of just whatever on them. How do you feel after acquiring a book/books? Do you share, like in a book haul or diary? How I feel after, I don't know how I feel after acquiring books. Happy, I guess. I usually do share them somewhere. It's usually my family sees them, for at least. They usually know what books I've got. Let's see, I often will post on Discord. In our Discord server, we've got a channel dedicated to books that you just acquired, basically. Sometimes if I've just gone and bought several books, then I'll just wait and not post them on Discord. I'll instead just do a book haul for them. That's where they're all at, and so I don't need to share them on Discord or something like that. But that's really all. I don't specifically make it super well known every single book that I purchase it, or like I don't go posting through every single Discord server and on social media everywhere or anything like that. I'll usually post on our Discord server. I'll usually post a haul if there's lots of books, but that's about it. How do you feel looking at your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's currently a lot or a little amount? I tend to so a lot of the books that I buy, especially if they're like antiques or something like that, I don't necessarily buy them because I want to read them. I buy them because I want to have them on my shelf. And so if I haven't read them, it doesn't bother me nearly so much. So there's a lot of that. And then I also, for like the books that I bought specifically because I want to read, those ones tend to be ones that I want to read them, and so I feel bad about not having read them yet. Not bad as in like, oh, I'm such a bad person for not having read the books or anything like that. It's just that I want to read them and I'm such a slow reader that I can't get to them as fast as I would like to, type thing. So I guess that's it, and it doesn't really matter if it's, I tend to prefer having less books that I haven't read on my shelves, but at the same time I think right now it's about 50-50 with books that I have and books that I haven't read, so it's kind of whatever. Question 7, how do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? I don't. I just keep buying more books and reading more books. I'm not terrible at keeping myself from buying books. I tend to do pretty good about that, and I'll just, if I'm going to a bookstore, then yeah, I'll buy books, and I'm not afraid to or anything like that. I don't have a self-imposed book buying ban or anything like that, but I don't really see a need to have a specific amount of unread books that I prefer. Do you have a TBR game or process for reading them? Not really. This quarter I had Kate pick my TBR for this month, and so those are the books that I'm reading, and those are the books that I will be reading, and I'm not going to read other ones. I might listen to other ones, but I'm not going to physically read other ones. So there's that, and usually I'll make in something like an MBR, a quarterly MBR, books that I might read. There's usually 18-ish books that I'll just have, and then I'll pick between those, and usually those are ones that I physically own that are on my shelves, so then I'll be constantly working through the books that are on my shelves. But that's really about the only thing. I'll do buddy reads if somebody wants to do a buddy read with me or something like that. I'm more than happy to do that. Do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it and can it be adjusted? I don't really have a book buying problem. The only problem that I have is not enough shelf space. And that's just the nature of where I'm living, my room. I have shelves that are the floating shelves up on the wall, but I don't really have any big bookcases or anything like that, and I'd like to build myself a nice big bookcase, but I haven't gotten there yet. It's expensive to buy lumber, stuff like that. So I'll buy books, but I don't really have a terribly bad book buying problem. Tag 2 or 3 others to ponder their book buying process. I don't know who all has done this tag, so I'm not going to tag people to do it. And then prompt 11 is know that you're awesome just as you are. Being a book lover is amazing. So that's all that this is. Of course, I'll have these questions down in the description down below. Anyways, thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. We have our social medias linked in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.